witches.
Hi, hello, and welcome back.
Time for another episode of Cryptids.
Yeah, mine's not really a cryptid, but eh.
Mine are cryptids, but they're also like some of them are kind of more supernatural, which I guess like some cryptids are, but like
I just had a
but
dream about mine, and I kept thinking about it, and I was like, I'm gonna do it.
yeah, and I think sometimes our cryptids are gonna kind of cross over into folklore a little bit, like
Yeah,
because they are very similar. Like cryptos, it could be argued that cryptozoology is folklore, like
yeah.
so yeah. But we're gonna kind of break it up because I have four little cryptids or lesser known cryptids, and then Emily's got her bigger one. Um, so I'm gonna go first, and then Emily's gonna go, and then I'm gonna go again. So
Yeah.
neither one of us are talking for like super long or something. But the first, mine are all Indiana cryptids. You can find information about them on um, IU's website. They did like a um, what's it called when you get like the stories and put them like a compendium, like put the stories together. Anyway,
There's a lot of different words you could use.
yeah, the first one is called the Cable Line Monster, um, and this one is in Elkhart, Indiana. So there was a quote. It says, "A man was driving home one night on Cable Line Road, and he saw something and it scared him, and he hit something and flew out of his car, hit a tree with his body, and it left the impression of his face and body in the tree. So now, whenever you drive by this tree on the corner of 26 and 11, you can see his body in the tree. The thing that he saw was the Cable Line Monster." Um, so there are apparently a lot of legends about this tree. It looks like it has like a face in it, kind of reminds me of Grandmother Willow, but creepier. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so that story above was, or that quote above was one of the stories. Um, and they said that either the Cable Line Monster caused the accident or they stole the body of the victim. Depends on who you ask.
Ooh.
And they say that the monster lives near the tree, and if you drive past the scene of the accident, your car will rattle and shake. Um,
Well, that sucks if you have an old car.
right. Um, it also varies when you ask like who died in the crash. Some people say it was a young couple coming home from a date and the boy fell asleep at the wheel. Others say that it was a motorcyclist going too fast in the rain. And then others say that it was a father and his young son and they were distracted by the monster and hit the tree. Um, and they also say that sometimes the person, whoever it was, definitely all of them seem to say it was a male. Um, that the spirit will like appear around this tree. And if you shine your headlights on the tree at night, you can clearly see the imprints of their face and body. Um, and people
Where's
who
this?
live Elkhart, people who live near Cable Line Road report that strange things happen at night, that lights flicker on and off. They get phone calls with no one on the other end. I guess when phone calls were like landlines were a thing, probably. Um, and then it's described as like a troll, but hairy and bear-like with glowing eyes. It's also been described as an alien, but that could also be the troll-like. So that is
Sasquatch?
the Cable Line Monster.
Sasquatch.
The next one is called the Gully Wampus. Right? It's just a fun name, the Gully Wampus.
The Gully Wumpus.
Um, this one is in DuPont, Indiana, at Camp Lewis Ernst. I hope I'm saying that right. It's a Boy Scouts camp, or it used to be anyway. Hello, hello. Yeah, I'm trying to talk on the podcast though. Okay, okay. No, I'm done with that apparently. Um, one story said that older scouts would take some of the first year scouts out looking for the Gullywampus at the far end. Are you serious? I can't see my notes. Okay. They would take it out looking for the Gullywampus at the far end of the camp. The older scouts would break up in groups, leaving a group of first years out by themselves without a flashlight. And then the older scouts would then circle back around, running through the brush, making wild animal sounds, um, which would scare them, obviously. And it was like, so it was kind of like a Boy Scouts hazing almost. Like,
Sounds like it.
that seems to be the origins of this one. But then, there are always people that are like, no, 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 it's real.
Yeah.
Um, so this was described as a large hairy creature that will get you if you don't watch out. Um, and it only
It's
appeared
the
on
boogeyman.
moonlit winter nights. It had flashing red eyes in the middle of its head, and it could tear up trees from the roots, throw boulders, and it would make moaning noises and grab and shake unwary hikers. Um, and then it also said, because this is what it made me think of, so it was interesting. Chaos, you motherfucker. He just stole my hair tie and went running. Get back here. Um, they compare it to snipe hunting, which is what it made me think of. So I kind of liked that comparison. Um, but that is the Gullywampus. I'm gonna get up and go get my hair tie while Emily starts talking about hers. There's my boobs again. Okay.
All right. So I am talking about its folklore. I mean, it's essentially its folklore. Not really a cryptid, but it's from Mexico. It's a Mexican folklore. Um, La Llorona. I'm gonna mispronounce that multiple times because Spanish is not my first language, and I did not do well in Spanish. I just didn't. Nothing about my brain like works well with Spanish. I don't know what it is. It's just I can't do it. But anyway, so La Llorona is a vengeful ghost from Mexican folklore. She is said to roam near bodies of water, mourning her children, whom she drowned in a jealous rage.
Isn't
After
there a
her,
scary movie about this?
yes, it is, and it's actually a very good movie.
I
I
think
watched
I've
it.
seen this. When you started talking about it, I was like, wait a second.
Yeah, so that movie was actually made after this folklore. Um, so the origins, give or take, are around early colonial times. This is kind of provided by lore that is pre-Hispanic. It's kind of like the Central Highlands, but it is heavily referenced around the colonial era and the dynamic between like the indigenous conquistador kind of thing. So that's kind of where it's kind of coming from. Um, the most common lore about her is that she initially was an indigenous woman who murdered her own children, which she bore from a wealthy Spaniard after he abandoned her. Um, the qualities of La Llorona is killing of infants and murdering of one's own blood is assumed to be connected to the narrative surrounding Donna Marina, who um, I don't know how to pronounce that. Malinche? La Laminche? Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, so as early as 1550 in Mexico City is actually when this like the earliest documentation actually was like found. There are theories about her story being connected to like Aztec mythology, like the Hungry Woman, which is one of the creation stories. The Hungry Woman includes a wailing woman crying out for food. which has been compared to her crying for her like murdered children. Um, and the motherly nature of Llorona's tragedy has been compared to, oh, I am not pronouncing that. I had to do a sixth grade project and I chose the Aztecs because I was between like the Mayans, the Incans, and the Aztecs. Aztecs were like my favorite to like read about. I'm not pronouncing this name correctly by any fucking means. Chuacoltol? It's the Aztec goddess uh for motherhood. So she's been her tragedy has been compared to that Aztec goddess. Her seeking children to keep her like to keep for herself is significantly compared to this. Um, uh, like a monster who devours like filth or sin or whatever. Um, which I feel like that's so weird. Like, why would you compare eating children to filth or sin? I feel like they are the most.
Pure or innocent? Yeah,
Yeah. Like I feel like that's why they're the target of a lot of things because they're pure, because they're, you know, naive and young. So that's weird.
that is weird.
Um anyways, it's traditionally told throughout Mexico, Central America, and northern South America. Um it is sometimes like mixed between La Malinche, who is a woman who served as an interpreter for Hernan Cortez, I would assume a Spaniard, and also bore his son. She is considered both the mother of the modern Mexican people and a symbol of national treachery for her role in aiding the Spanish. So La Malinche is not a good person, apparently.
Okay,
Um, and I guess depending on the location that you are, there's different versions of La Llorona. Um, so the most the typical version, I guess, of the legend is that it was about a beautiful woman named Maria who marries a rich conquistador to whom she bears two children. One day, Maria sees her husband with another woman, and in a fit of blind rage, she drowns her children in the river, which, of course, she immediately regrets. And because she was unable to save them and she is consumed by guilt, she drowns herself as well. But because of her sins and because of her guilt, she is unable to enter the afterlife. So she is forced into purgatory, and to roam this children to until she finds her or roams this children, roam the earth until she finds her children. In another version of the story, her children were actually illegitimate and she drowns them so that their father cannot take them away to be raised by his new wife.
oh,
Fucked up, but I get it. Um, and some more reoccurring themes are white dress, white or wet dress, um, night screaming, and obviously in association with water. Um, in Mexico, it's deeply rooted into their culture, in their popular culture. So her story is actually told to children to encourage them not to wander off in the dark or near bodies of water, such as rivers and lakes, by themselves. Um, her spirit is often um, shown in artwork. She is also there is also a yearly waterfront performance of the legend set in the canals in a borough of Mexico City, which was established in 1993 to coincide with the Day of the Dead. So I think they do it around the time of the Day of the Dead. Sorry, my contacts just kind of went weird on me. Um, in Guatemala, it was about lived a woman who had an affair with a lover. She became pregnant and gave birth to a child named Juan de la Cruz, who she drowned so her husband would not know. The woman who condemned was condemned in the afterlife to search for her murdered son in every place where there is a pool of water. She does that by crying out for him, hence her moniker of the Wailing Woman. It is a popular scary legend that in one iteration or another has been told to generations of children. Um, so she in Guatemala, she is known for having a cry of "Oh, my children," or "Ay, mis hijos," as well as no, there is no other one. Sorry. It's just that's just well known due to the story. Um, there is another detail though for this, that if a person hears the cry from afar, it just means that the ghost is nearby. But if the cry is heard nearby, it means the ghost is afar. So if someone is unlucky enough to face this ghost, um, they are never to be seen again. And the legend is deeply rooted. Um, that specific legend is deeply rooted in Antigua, Guatemala, which is actually a part of the southern state of, like a state of Mexico. Um, in the United States, it is a story that is told to scare children into being good, into good behavior, because that's what the people do. We scare people
Yeah.
into being good. Um, like Santa, like the Easter Bunny, like all that shit.
The
Um,
boogeyman.
yeah. Um, it is sometimes specifically used to keep them from dangerous water, which I understand. I mean, I wouldn't sit there and say like a ghost is going to come get you, because like you're going to have that one child's like, well, I want to see a ghost. Like,
Right.
I was that fucking child. Like, I would go play in the water just to see a ghost. Like, fuck you. Um, anyways, her cries are heard as she walks around the street or near bodies of water to scare children. So I guess, and apparently in the United States, she is near bodies of water, not at bodies of water. So like she's like in the streets near rivers and whatever. Um, and it's to deter children from wandering around. Um, and to keep them safe from playing in bodies of water. Um, in Southern California, La Llorona is linked to a mythological creature who has a cry that is similar of a newborn baby. And actually, not necessarily Southern California, but I feel like the West Coast has a lot of cryptids, like a lot of those indigenous or Hispanic legends. Like
Yeah.
I feel like when I'm
Well,
on
because
TikTok,
if you look
go
at
ahead.
old maps of like Mexico used to go all the way up into California, like
Yeah.
before,
Well,
we did what we did.
yeah. Well, and the thing is I always see it like on TikTok. I always get onto this person's feed where he is actually like an indigenous. He's part of an indigenous tribe, and I think he lives in the Appalachian Mountains or like near them. And he does like short stories on like legends or like myths and like things that you can find in the Appalachian Mountains. And so like it's just the similarities between Hispanic folklore and like things that go bump in the night and indigenous things that go bump in the night are very similar. So I'm like, is this true? Is this a thing?
Well, I feel like
Like skinwalkers?
a lot of like Mexico was indigenous people. Like a lot of them were, now they speak Spanish because that's who took over their area, but like a lot of Mexico and like some of the South American countries
It used to
were
be it used to be belonged to
indigenous people.
themselves or Spain.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I really like listening to their stories, and I really like being on that side of TikTok because there's this guy that goes, Buenos Tardes, everyone. Hello, everyone. And then he just like talks about it. And he goes, this is a white person because the white person actually goes towards the screen, where the Hispanic people, it was beaten into them to run away from the screen because it could be a boogeyman, like kind of
Oh
thing.
my
And
god.
it's just it's just
Yes.
so funny. And I'm like, yeah, you're right
There's
though.
this one guy that like does these videos, and if it's like something scary, then he'll be like, "Nope, nope." And he'll pop up and like be like, "This is your," I forget what he says. Oh my god, I'll have to find it and send it to you. But
Oh
anyway,
my
it's
god, I
funny.
love it. I love it so
Yes.
much. Like I love being on that side of TikTok. I'm like, yes, give me more.
Yeah.
Give me more.
Yeah.
Anyways, so in Venezuela, it's similar but different. So in that story from Venezuela, she is actually she is the spirit of the woman that died of sorrow. So she died from a broken heart because her children were killed either by herself or by her family. It's unknown at that point because a lot of this came from like the colonial times, and I feel like during the colonial times, there was a lot of migration happening. I mean,
Yeah.
probably a lot of the Hispanic people were moving south because Americans were moving in and taking over everything.
Yeah.
Um, and people were moving down. So like I feel like it converged a little bit around that time. But she roams around searching for her children that were killed, and she's upset, and she died of obviously of a broken heart. But because of that, you'll find a lot of families in Venezuela and probably in Guatemala and Mexico. I feel like those places are very I'm not saying like religious based, but
But yeah.
there's a lot of religion around those countries. Um but families will traditionally place wooden crosses above their doors to ward off such spirits. So, regardless of where they live, I guess, they have wooden crosses on their doors because they want to ward off wandering spirits such as the La Llorona version. And apparently there's similar ones, not like specifically the same, but in Eastern Europe, there is a water spirit from Slavic mythology. They come to be after a woman drowns due to suicide or murder, especially if they had an unwanted pregnancy. And then they must stay in this world for a specific period of time. So it's a water spirit of some sort that comes after a woman dies in water. Um, in Greek legend, in the Greek legend of Jason and Medea, what is it?
Medea.
Medea, thank you. There it features a motif of a woman who murders her children as an act of revenge against her husband who left her for another woman. So it's I mean it's not the same, but I mean it's like an idea, like the same idea on it. Um in popular culture, there's obviously like the theater, like the story that they play every year. There has been songs popularized in Hispanic culture of this person in music and literature. There's a science fiction novel from 2002 where it was discussed. Let's see, in film there's movies from 1993. There was a 2008 horror film that was inspired by the legend. um in the Pixar film Coco, uh, there was a song, I guess. It was the Mexican folk song that's called La Llorona. It was actually sung by one of the characters. um, in the show. In July 2019, there was a film produced called The Curse of La Llorona, which is a movie that I watched, and that's actually pretty good. Um, there was another one, like A Legend of La Llorona, which was actually released in January 2022. So, like, there's a lot of different shows. Obviously, it's not going to be the exact same, it's going to be a rendition of the legend, but it's still pretty cool. There's also it's a also the La Llorona also appears in some video, well, not in some video games, but in a video game installment, where she is a collectible demon that you can gain. Um, but some other people that you like that are pretty similar is like a banshee or like the boogeyman essentially. So yeah, La Llorona, be careful on where you hear at night by a body of water. You never know what you're gonna see. My whole everything just freaked out. Like all three of my screens just went black for a second. I thought like there was a power like you're fucking dying. I'm over here like somebody's taking over my
I
computer.
just tried to mute like 3 or 4 times and it wouldn't let me, so it took me a minute to get. Anyway, okay, that's La Llorona.
There's a
um,
lot. I didn't really like I was like, "Oh, this is going to be pretty simple." No, there was a lot.
yeah.
And I
Well,
researched this honestly last week, so I didn't get a chance to look at it, so I was like, "Fuck, what was I going to say?"
yeah, I did my research for this last week as well, cause yeah. Anyway,
They were
my next one,
plans.
yeah, is the Pike County Monster, which is in Petersburg, Indiana. Um, it's so there's like strip pits or strip mining sites near that town. And those mines or pits were supposedly inhabited by a strange creature. This creature
Aren't
is
they
half
always?
man, right? Half man, half ape, 12 feet tall, kind of Bigfoot like. Um, left footprints twice the size of a man's shoe, had glowing eyes, and dogs would bark when the creature was nearby. Um, they said that a direct quote from a 93-year-old Petersburg resident was, "Well, son, I never actually saw the thing myself, but I heard it scream. It sounded like nothing I'd ever heard before, kind of like a woman screaming. And later, when I went out for water, I seen where it had been, out at the pond drinking, left big prints in the mud." So this one is very similar to Bigfoot, but Bigfoot's not typically one that you hear of in Indiana. I mean, we've heard of it, but it's not been cited in Indiana very much.
Mm-hmm.
Although there are some like people around here that are obsessed with it. But anyway, this one is called the Pike County Monster. Different people said that reported it was different colors. Um, so that led some people to believe that there might be like multiple monsters. I feel like more likely it was different lighting in different like times of day or different views, or everyone's just making it up. You never know. I don't know.
I mean, there's a lot.
There's a lot to unpack here. But according to the people in that town, this creature would appear one day every 4 weeks in the late summer and early fall of every other year. So like it's like a fucking comet. It's only there sometimes and it comes on like a schedule. um and they also um some people speculated that there's a possibility that during its 2-year absence that it was either hibernating or wandering the country under its other names, such as Bigfoot and is it Wendigo?
Wendigo.
Yeah.
Yo, the
So
Wendigo is fucking sick.
yeah. So they're calling there's They were saying that it could either be hibernating or it's the same creature as Bigfoot and it's just like wandering through and then coming back every 2 years. So who knows? Shit's
It's
weird.
kind of like a, oh, what is it? Jeepers Creepers.
I'm just
You
gonna
ever
sit here
seen
and
that
look at you
movie?
blankly because no, I've never seen
Oh, so in
that.
Jeepers Creepers, it's like a monster that like I think it's 24 because everyone keeps talking about like this year. Maybe it's 23. I don't know. But it's like every like 23, 24 years. What is it? It like comes out. What is it? Every it's a horror it's not a comedy. It's a horror movie and um what is it? Theories. What is it? Every like 23 years? Here we go. All right. Every 23 years for 23 days it gets to eat.
Ew.
So for 23 days, I think in the spring, because of hibernation, it comes out and it eats every 23 years.
Okay.
And they made like four movies.
Alrighty.
But you saying like, yeah, it kind of hides and does this, like that's what made me think of Jeepers Creepers.
No, that makes sense. Okay, I only have one more. This one has a little bit more about it, but not a lot. And it's called The Beast of Busco. Um,
Where's that?
Churubusco, Indiana. Um, this one is has been compared to the Loch Ness monster. However, it doesn't look anything like Nessie. Like, but it is a water monster, for lack of a better term. And the people around Churubusco call it Oscar. Um, it is described as a giant turtle that was the size of a large dinner table in a small pond. The pond was named after its previous owner, Oscar Folk, so the turtle was given the name Oscar. The pond was called Folk Pond. Um, After first sighting the turtle, um, this guy tried to capture the turtle, but he kept having bad luck with it. So, like, he attempted to drain the lake, but while he was doing that, he got appendicitis and had to stop. Um, they rented a diving suit, but the helmet leaked. Just like multiple things happened that they were like not able to capture this giant turtle. Um, I meant to look up what this is, but I think it's one of those things that like looks down. Someone used a water weasel, which I think is like one of those like a periscope, except it goes down into the water instead of up. I think I did not look it up, so I could be entirely wrong. I'm just making an assumption. And they claimed to see Oscar moving under the ice when the lake was frozen over. Um, and like thousands of people have traveled to this farm hoping to see this giant turtle. But the only two people that have officially ever seen it was the original Harris and this person with the water weasel. Um, Apparently, the Cincinnati Zoo asked if they could take Oscar if they could find him, but the zoo does deny that this ever happened.
They're
So,
like, we are not getting involved
yeah,
in this.
right. Um, and the Indiana Society for Protection of Cruelty to Animals got involved because people were trying to capture this turtle and they were like, you should not be hurting this turtle, like leave it alone. um Harris actually eventually spent so much money and time trying to find this turtle that he lost the farm. Um, and he apparently made like national news. And there is now an annual celebration called Turtle Day. And they call themselves Turtletown, USA in Churubusco now because of
Where
this
is
giant
that?
turtle. I don't know.
North? I feel like that's south.
I didn't look it up. Let's look it up right quick. Churubusco, Indiana. But yeah, so it's like a giant turtle. And part of me is like, well, could it be like a turtle that was accidentally relocated? Like, could it really truly just be a giant turtle?
What if it's a giant tortoise?
It could be. Well, it wouldn't go in the water though, would it? Don't tortoises stay on land?
Mainly. I mean, I think they can go into the water, but they don't live underwater.
Churubusco is up by Fort Wayne ish,
Ah!
in that
Okay.
area. So,
It's
yeah,
not where I thought it was.
that is a few Indiana or Hoosier cryptids. I think the turtle is my favorite. Oscar.
Oscar the turtle.
But I also feel like he's the most potentially realistic. Like,
Yeah. Because, I mean, yeah, it's a giant turtle. Of course, it's more realistic than anything else.
right. And like, it could be an exaggeration that it was the size of a dinner table, but like, it could still be a giant turtle.
Yeah.
Turtles can get big.
Yeah, they can, especially when they don't have it, when they have the right, environment,
Yeah.
right everything.
Yep.
Who knows? Cool.
Okay. Well, that
Well,
is cryptids.
until next time.
Bye.
You don't hear that. Why isn't it stopping?
Why is it still going? Just kidding.
That's what I'm saying. Something weird happened.
It's La Llorona.
It really is, though. Yay. Until next time. Bye.
Bye.